Hello, this is High Templar. Welcome back to my Total War guide videos. Today we'll be talking about Cavalry. This is not only about Rome 2, but all Total War series. It's basically a round video that tells you all about how to use Cav, but not in that much details. If you want details, there is lots of mechanics videos that will tell you about what staying time of 3 seconds and what staying time of 5 seconds will do to your cavalry, basically. So, this is awesome Royal Cataracts, the best unit in the game in my opinion. We'll talk about firstly charging up and down the hill, and also Shock Cav against Melee Cav. Shock Cav is basically a cavalry that is holding lances. Those guys, they do not have shields. They usually have a high armor, they have very high charge bonus, but very low melee defense, and high armor piercing with those lances. Whereas Melee Cav has higher bonus versus sludge, those guys carry spears. They do typically carry shields, pretty much every time in Rome 2. And they do not have as high charge bonus, but however those guys already have 40 charge bonus, but compared to those guys 76 is not that much, but have typically not that high armor, but they are quite high armor units, very high melee attack and melee defense. Yeah, those guys with melee defense of 23 are not that great, it would seem, right? So we will see how they are behaving very quickly, charging up and down the hill. Here we have Noble Blood Cav, this is Melee Cav against Persian Cavalry, and we have exactly the same example right there. Those guys will meet in a moment. I will show you on slow motion charge in a second, but I want to show you something that happened right now. So this is contact, what happened here. Happened in every instance except for this one. And that was 1 second after that. Pretty much 1 second. Noble Blood Cavalry lost 2 guys, whereas Persian Cav lost nobody. In this fight we have Persian Cavalry 0 losses, Noble Blood 3 losses on the flat ground. And finally Royal Cataracts 3 kills against those Azad Knights who had 0 kills. Right? So pretty much the same results. Now let's just see that awesome charge in slow motion. So those guys charging, 0 kills for Azad Knights, 0 kills for Royal Cataracts, for now. Let's wait a second. 0 kills still. So that wasn't a very good charge, it would seem. But there will be kills here. Azad Knights is very tanky unit. Here again, we have 3 kills on the Persian Cav here and 2 kills on Noble Blood. So at start, only Persian Cav did kills, but after a moment Noble Blood is doing some damage. This is just a few seconds after, so you need to be very careful about that. Here Royal Cataracts killed already 4 of the Azad Knights, with 0 kills on Azad Knights, and the Persian Cav in here killed 9 of the Noble Blood, whereas Noble Blood killed 0. So the difference in Shock Cavalry charging downhill or on the flat terrain and here is charging uphill, it's 3 kills and 2 losses against 9 kills and 0 losses. So that's quite an advantage that the Shock Cav has here. And let's just allow few seconds to pass and we'll see what was happening. Firstly, the first hit is pretty much a physical kinetic damage that this is the horse is hitting. This is not a charge bonus. So after a few seconds we have Noble Blood Cavalry killing 5 and 5 to 15, that's the difference. So Shock Cav clearly have an advantage. Here with Azad Knights it's still 0 kills against 10 kills of Royal Cataracts. So 0 to 10, that's quite a difference. Here we have slightly shorter fight, but as you can see already 13 kills on those Royal Cataracts charging downhill, so that charge bonus is working. Even if few seconds first, at few first seconds it wasn't. And finally we have Persian Cav with 10 kills versus Noble Blood with 7. So Noble Blood is gaining in this fight. So at first Shock Cav has huge advantage in this fight. Let's go for 30 more seconds. 30 seconds is how long the charge bonus is taking. So this is charge bonus and it's slowly dissipating. It's not like all the time it's... for the Persian Cav it's 67. So it's after like 30 seconds, it's half of it. After 15 seconds it's half of it basically. But for now we have Noble Blood with 15 kills and Persian Cavalry with 28. So that's twice as many kills for the Persian Cav. And because they killed so many of the Noble Blood will deal less damage because there will be less of them. Here we have Azad Knights with 3 kills against Royal Cataracts with 22 kills. Here we have 1 kill, but that fight is a bit slower. Against 23 kills, but that was downhill charge. And finally Persian Cavalry 18 versus 29. Noble Blood Cavalry charging downhill already have an advantage. And we will have one more stop at 1 minute after the initial charge. And as you can see, we already have some wavering. Noble Blood Cavalry 51 kills versus 29. So that was quite a difference. Persian Cav at the first moment killed 2 of those guys and 0 losses to them. And after some time the melee Cav is losing. Obviously the units that are charging downhill have more of an advantage, and Azad Knights are not much for Royal Cataracts on any day. So this is 3 kills versus 47 kills charging downhill, but even on flat terrain we have Royal Cataracts killing 48 against 4. This is just too huge of a difference for those guys to be able to get any kills even if in prolonged combat. In here we have 38 kills on the Persian Cav with 36 kills on the Noble Blood Cavalry. You can already see that this difference is getting smaller and smaller. At start that was very powerful, and now it's less effective. Why is that? Well, basically, firstly it's a charge bonus, and secondly is that bonus versus large is armor piercing. So 10 bonus on the Shock Cavalry, 15 bonus on the melee Cav. This is quite substantial, and obviously the melee defense and the melee attack on the Noble Bloods is much higher. Well, melee attack is slightly lower, but defense is 35 compared to 15, so that's quite a difference. Also, this Noble Blood Cavalry has actually higher armor. This is very light. Although it says a very heavy shock cap, this is actually why the Persian Cavalry is very cool, because it has mass. So charging downhill, charging on flat terrain, they will do a lot of kinetic damage at start, and then you can retreat them and they will still deal a lot of damage to the enemy as long as you can retreat them, because as you can see, if you keep them in prolonged combat they will start losing. And this is what we will see here. Obviously those fights have ended. And here we have Noble Blood with 47 kills against 48. And this fight is not going into the direction that Shock Cav would want. But it's pretty even combat for pretty evenly costed units. Now another thing that I want to show you is frontal charge. Frontal charge is something that is it's not used much, but it is to kill your enemy if you have, for example, if your main enemy, if the fight is being decided in your melee lines. So one way, you will, whenever you will start a new fight, you will be told, if you have cav on the field, that the charge to the rear is basically going to kill you. But what will the charge to the front will do? Well, basically, I have two heavy horse here. This is heavy melee cavalry. Not very heavy. Just heavy, but those guys cost only 600. And this is pretty decent cav with decent armor and defense and health. So obviously charging into the back of the enemy is effective, but you do not always have that opportunity. So we will see what will happen here in a moment. I'm charging my infantry. There will be a precursor lots of precursors being thrown. And then we have cavalry charge. At the range that we know that those guys will no longer be throwing anything. Those guys started charging just a moment ago. They are going through the infantry and going inside those units. If your enemy is using more spaghetti lines, those guys are very thick. It will be even more effective, but you can already see that those guys are knocking down some of those guys, some of those melee units. There is even very few coming into this Oathsworn unit. So after a few seconds you can see, yeah, those guys are dangerously close to those javelins. But you can see that those guys are lying. They are not dead. Lots of the guys are actually lying. They are not dead. They will be getting up. But what I did now is basically I'm retreating my cavalry and I charged in my infantry. Those guys are starting shield wall and they should. I'm retreating my cavalry, as you can see, from everywhere. But this is just a contact. I have already 10 kills on my sword followers. Those guys have 0 kills. Now, how on earth that happened? I mean, it's cav that charge getting 3 kills into those sword followers and those sword followers, right? They're only getting 3 kills. But these sword followers charging into those guys, they killed 10 already. And those guys, well, they didn't really got in. That was messed up charge, unfortunately. Those guys, this is heavy horse unit. Sword followers, 7 kills already. This sword followers, 13 kills already. So, some of it is from javelins, of course. I have retreated my cavalry. This was messed up charge, unfortunately, for those sword followers. They still got 3 kills, but they are not engaged properly in here. Those sword followers 1 kill against 19 already. 16 versus 0. I don't want heavy horse, I want those sword followers, my sword follower, 23 kills versus 2 kills. And finally my Oathsworn 3 kills versus 0 kills. What are the losses on the horses? Well, 2 kills. I mean 2 losses and 2 losses. So minimal losses on the horses. You can still use those to charging in a back, to engage enemy units. They will not will obviously with the same heavy horse unit. But see what will happen now. But they will hold for a very long time because this is melee cap. See what will happen here. I am also using my shield wall. This is not my shield wall yet. I should be using shield wall. This is headhunt being used. There is also headhunt being used here on this general. So I'm starting to use shield wall as well. That was later, but still, see, 34 kills already on those followers, and not a single guy lost. Here, not a single guy lost 3 kills. One guy lost 28 kills. One guy lost 38 kills. One guy lost 8 kills, but that's on Oathsworn, and to this Oathsworn only like 3 heavy horse got. So how is it possible? How is it possible that this guy get 34 kills on those followers without single kill? That's because those guys were knocked down and they charged, were stopped. They were not charging. They got charged, and we will see just how much of a difference it will make. Those guys also used something else badly. My headhunt has finished, but I used second wind. And now my guy is fresh and this guy is very tired. So as you can see, losses on the charge are staggering. If you are just frontal charge enemies, you don't have to go around. Sometimes you don't have opportunity to go around. You just need to make sure that this is before those guys will throw javelins. This is a running away unit of Oathsworn, but they are losing quite severely, and they will lose even more. It's the end of them, because my guys will throw javelins and chase them. And I just want to show you very, very quickly. Yeah. Each unit fighting themselves. And I just want to show you how powerful this was and how it changed the fight. So yeah, that's the end, right? See how many men are still alive in those units of sword followers. This is very healthy army. This army can fight in new units basically, alright? And all because of that charge that you really didn't lose almost nothing. So last thing I want to show you is more or less how to use combined arms and common mistakes. You downhill, you've seen frontal charge. The other thing is the width of the... Width is very important, especially if you have lots of shock cav. Shock cav, you go the wider the possible. The rhombus is it's not a very effective. Wedge is also not very effective. Those guys do have, for example, rhombus, but we will not use it. It's good for breaking through very narrow formations, but this is not something you will see often. So if you are charging with your shock cav, you are going wide. If you are charging with your melee cav, you might want to go into wedge, for example, so that their shock cav wouldn't get as much of a charge on your guys, and then you are getting into prolonged combat. Here I will be baiting out some of those arrows. You just need to change. Some of my guys got hit point damage, but nothing great. And that entire salva was lost. So 2 salvas basically. I'm taking that Royal Cataracts on the right with my Tarentines. Whereas, yeah, this will be very, very, very nice. I'm getting them away from this horse skirmishers. Horse skirmishers, very dangerous units, very, very dangerous units. Now this horse skirmishers is doing the worst thing that he can possibly do. This is militia hoplites. Hoplon wielding cheap infantry. Hoplon is the shield of the hoplite, if you don't know that. and they are blocking 50% of all missiles coming in. So those guys are throwing their javelins. They have very few javelins, ammunition only 7, into cheap units into the shielded side. That is the worst thing they can do. That unit will be pretty useless after that. It's very weak. Here we have already Royal Cataracts being thrown some javelins into their backs, so this is perfect situation for us. Now I have Hellenic Royal Guard General, and then I have some militia hoplites and hoplites. So basically, very cheap infantry line, but so it is the same story for them. So I'm moving those guys up front to meet my enemy, to engage them in a charge, moving my cavalry here. My Tarentines are charging after the Royals. Well, charging, really throwing their javelins into them. Because there are 2 units here of the Persian Cav and Royal Cataracts. I do not want for them to fight my Thessalians and Apis Companions, because my guys would lose. Or at least deal so much damage that those guys will be useless, and that's not really something I want to do. So what I'm doing is getting my militia hoplites to screen my cavalry. Understood. More javelins being thrown, so far only hit point damage. Now those guys decided to chase after my Tarentines. This is the worst possible scenario, really. Tarentines are medium, but those guys are super heavy, so they will be slower than my Tarentines, and my Tarentines will be able to throw their javelins till the end. Now, skirmish cavalry can bug out and can be caught, which is very problematic, but all in all. Now, I have right now 2 Thessalians. Those Thessalians are moving in, so they can do stuff here. And this Eastern Slinger is starting to shoot my Thessalians. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a charge attack on this guy, whereas this guy will be charging into the side of the spearmen. Those spearmen, my militia hoplites or my hoplites, are already in the phalanx. And this guy decided to charge at me. What I should be doing is not moving my militia hoplites, allow them to charge me and then attack from the sides. I'm not doing that. That is a mistake I'm doing. You should never charge your spears at charging cavalry, especially shock cavalry, because they will be knocked down. I'm not saying it's they will lose, I'm saying they will lose more than they need to. That's basically what I'm saying. Few shots, unfortunately, into those Thessalians. Now here we have a charge that went 1 kill for the Persian Cav. But unfortunately, there is also a fire from here, from Eastern Archers. They took down one of my Apis Companions. Unfortunate. They will be hitting me a lot more than they, because it's only a single unit. So those archers need to go. I'm not seeing that, and this is something definitely I need to watch out. And these Thessalians charge into this Eastern Spearmen, 8 kills on the charge. Those guys are charging the Slingers, that will be the end of the Slingers, quite obviously. Here we have not the best charge, because my own unit of militia hoplites blocked charge of both Apis Companions and Thessalians. Thessalians got only 1 kill. So this is something you absolutely should not do. As much as you should not chase with your heavy cav light skirmishers. Lighter, let's just say lighter skirmishers. But there is still lots of cavalry on the field here. For example, here we have unit of Noble Blood Cavalry moving here, and unit of Azad Knights, who are quite awesome. This is one of the best melee cavalry in the game. Well, Apis companions are better, but, you know, decent, very, very decent. Here those guys are chasing down horse skirmishers. They will not lose many men. Yes, there is 27 kills on those guys, on those horse skirmishers, but militia hoplites are significantly cheaper. And after the single charge, those Eastern Slavers are dying very, very quickly. 22 kills, it will higher. And those guys are already breaking. After Eastern Spearmen are shaking, I'm retreating my Thessalian cavalry here. And they're retreating the Thessalians here because they had such a bad charge. And they actually had 5 kills versus 3 deaths. But this is very bad compared to the situation they had. If they went around, they would massacre those Persians. But my Apis companion will be staying here for a very long time and obviously winning very, very heavily against those Persian cavalry. Yeah, those guys racking up kills in seconds. Thessalians getting a charge order on the Eastern archers. And Thessalians being very, very nicely intercepted by those Azat Knights. That is not the situation. I changed the direction of the charge, but my guys are positioned in such a way they have no speed. They will not deal, only at full speed they will deal full charge bonus. So their Azat Knights will be dealing against the Thessalian Scav in extremely good way. So that is a huge mistake, and I should not really do mistakes like that. Another charge into those. See, this Thessalian Scav charge into the back of the Persian Cav, probably an overkill. Those Persian Cav is dying one way or the other. They should be going in, charging in the back of those guys. But you can break them, as you can see, single charge made them already waver. And that's something great, obviously. Those guys were somehow caught by the Royal Cataracts, but they are still getting 10 kills on the Royal Cataracts versus 7 kills on the Royal Cataracts. Cataracts will be losing in long run. You cannot have. Now this will be a very nice charge. Noble Blood Cavalry against Thessalians. Thessalians will obviously be winning that very, very heavily. And those horse skirmishers with their 4 charge bonus will not deal that much damage. So Thessalians obviously 107 already kills. Noble Blood Cavalry only 2 kills, and they will not be wrecking many more. Yeah, still 2 kills on those guys. Thessalians retreated after the charge from those Persian cavalry. Persian cavalry still losing. I'm going to sandwich. There is no Blood Cavalry, there is Azat Knights here. But the Noble Blood Cavalry is running away. So I decided to charge into those Eastern Spearmen instead, just in a bag with very, very wide formation, and this was a perfect charge. Now my Thessalians will start racking up kills of 46 already. That is quite a lot. First I wanted to charge those Noble Blood Cavalries, but then I decided I will charge in the back of those guys instead. This single charge made wavering of few units here. Those Thessalian Scav charge into the horse skirmishers. Now they are charging in the back of the Noble Blood. This is not the best cavalry charge, but it will do a job done. Very nice charge into those Azat Knights. Those Azat Knights will not like this a bit. Entering Apis companions who will be holding the Azat Knights in place. But great kills on the Thessalians, and I'm already retreating Thessalians. but only Thessalians, Apis companions are still fighting the Azov Knights. "23 kills to 10 kills, Royal Cataracts versus Tarantine. This is obviously not a situation that you want to use, and those Royal Cataracts will be racking hundreds and hundreds of kills in this battlefield should they charge me in the back. I have very light units, it's all over. Charging their back with Thessalians and holding them with Apis companions, I lost only 9 of Apis companions here, and I massacred 89 of the enemy, and that was all cavalry. That's very important. So yeah, as you can see, everybody's breaking now. I think those guys might get a few more kills on the Royal Cataracts, but as you can see, there is not much more left in here. And even more, and this is another chevron on those guys. That's quite amazing. 31 kills on those guys. Those guys are exhausted. My guys are only tired. So yeah, this is single charge into those guys and they are gone basically. With being exhausted, they cannot really charge effectively. With their small defense, they would be dying. Even more javelins that went through this guy, and that's pretty much the end. This guy's breaking on his own. Now I want to show you the amazing damage on some of those units. Yes, those militia hoplites were fighting against the Eastern Spears, so pretty much the worst unit in the game. But those Thessalians, 214 kills, those were fighting Cav, but still 173 kills. On those Thessalians, they are only 700, they cost 700 and some, basically. So as much as, say, hoplites. Tarentines, 34 kills in total, but this is on the Royal Cataracts. Apis companions did fairly well, and I have almost no losses on that army. If you look at this, I have almost no losses, and I have defeated army that cost exactly the same as mine. So, this is how you should use and should not use. I've made some mistakes in this battle, and I showed you them, so you know how you should do and how you shouldn't do. So, to summarize, uphill, downhill is important, width is important, making a proper charge is important. Kinetic damage and knocking down the enemy is important, because you can just hit them and retreat immediately if you do this charge properly. If this is a single line that charges into enemy with all its mass and then retreats. You can lose no men for a very long time if you cycle charge like that, and each hit, if your guys are heavy, each hit will deal significant damage to the enemy. And finally, frontal charging your infantry is also an option that will allow you to win the infantry fight very heavily, basically, with very few losses. And that's it. I hope you like it. If you did, press like, and if you will, see my other videos in Total War series, but also other games. Thank you for watching. See you later.